Chlorine. We use it to disinfect our water, and it's a critical building block for modern industry. But here's the thing. In its pure form, it's one of the most hazardous chemicals that people handle on a daily basis. Today we're going to dive into the professional-grade safety protocols that are required to manage this double-edged element, where just one tiny mistake can be fatal.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to understand the chemical itself. What are we really dealing with? Then we'll cover the incredibly strict rules for handling it. After that, we'll walk through exactly what you do if a leak happens, how to administer first aid for exposure, and finally, we'll take a look at the specialized gear that makes safely handling it even possible.
So you've probably seen that yellow warning sign before, right? But in the world of industrial transport and handling, you'll also see this globally recognized poison pictogram. They're different symbols, but they carry the exact same stark message. This is not a substance you take lightly. Handling this is a serious, professional discipline.
To handle something this dangerous, you first have to respect it. And to respect it, you really have to understand it. So let's get to know the dual personality of chlorine. The useful toxin.
Here's the textbook definition for you. Chlorine is a pungent, kind of greenish-yellow or chartreuse gas. Now, what's really fascinating about this is that last part. It doesn't actually burn itself, but as a powerful oxidizer, it can make an existing fire way, way worse. It literally adds fuel to the flames. Let's break down its key properties. It can be a gas or a liquid. It's got that very distinct smell, and it reacts with just about everything. But the most crucial point here, the one you really need to remember, is its weight. As a gas, it's 2.5 times heavier than air. This means in a leak, it doesn't just, float away. It sinks. It flows along the ground like an invisible, toxic river. And this just brilliantly illustrates the danger of a liquid leak. Just one little bit of liquid chlorine will vaporize and expand to 360 times that volume as a gas. A small puddle instantly becomes a massive ground-hugging cloud. And that is why prevention is absolutely everything. So knowing those dangers, let's look at how the industry works to prevent disaster. They've developed these incredibly strict rules for handling, because really, the best way to survive a chlorine incident is to make sure it never happens in the first place. And this is what proper storage looks like. It's not just some back room. It's a clean, dedicated, well-ventilated space. Notice the organization, the secure placement of the tanks, and just how robust that infrastructure is. Every single detail here is designed to minimize risk.
The rules for storage are just meticulous. You have to keep chlorine away from any high-traffic areas and definitely away from ventilation intakes. It has to be segregated from anything flammable, oils, ether, you name it. And even the orientation matters. Cylinders have to stand upright, while the larger portable tanks are stored on their sides.
Moving it is just as strict. You always use designated lifting equipment, and you never, ever lift a cylinder by its protective cap. The second it arrives on site, before it's even off the truck, you're checking for leaks. You use ammonia vapor, which reacts with chlorine to create a visible white cloud.
But of course, procedures exist because things can go wrong. So, if prevention fails, what's the plan? Well, the key is a calm, methodical, and really rapid response.
The action plan is like a well-rehearsed drill. Step 1, call for help. There are no lone heroes here. Step 2, gear up, but only in a safe, uncontaminated area. Step 3, and this is critical, you must have a standby assistant outside the zone. That person is your lifeline. Only then do you approach the leak. The first attempt is always the simplest one. Try to close the valve. If that fails, then you escalate to the specialized kits.
Now this is so crucial. Remember that invisible river of gas? You don't just run. First, you move sideways at a 90-degree angle to the wind to get out of the direct path of the plume. Once you're out of the flow, then you move upwind, away from the source. It's a calculated retreat, not a panic. Of course, the ultimate goal of all these procedures is to protect people. But if exposure does happen, knowing the correct first aid is absolutely critical. It can save a life.
For skin or eye contact, the response totally depends on the type of injury. For a chemical splash, you flush with huge amounts of water. But, and this is a huge but, liquid chlorine is stored under pressure and it's intensely cold. If it causes frostbite, if it actually freezes the tissue, you do not use water. You get immediate medical help. This distinction can save someone's skin and their eyesight.
Inhalation is the most common danger. For a mild case, the priority is to get the person to fresh air and keep them calm, warm, and breathing shallowly. But if it's a severe case, if they've stopped breathing, the response escalates dramatically. It's an all-out emergency. Clear their airway and begin artificial respiration immediately, and you keep going until medical personnel arrive.
So let's talk about the gear. Handling chlorine isn't about bravery. It's about having the right tools and knowing how to use them. This is the equipment that allows professionals to face the absolute worst-case scenario. This is the personal armor. It starts with a self-contained breathing apparatus, or a BA set, which provides clean air. Then comes the full gas suit, gloves, and boots to prevent any skin contact. This gear creates a personal sealed environment, allowing a trained professional to walk right into a contaminated zone.
And this just perfectly illustrates the precision of the toolkit. For a very specific problem, like a leak from the valve on a standard cylinder, there is a very specific solution, the Emergency Kit A. It's a custom-engineered device designed to cap and contain that exact type of failure.
So we've seen the procedures, the first aid, the high-tech suits, and all the custom-made repair kits. But after all of that, what do you think is the single most important safety tool in the entire system?
It's this: knowledge, knowing the properties of the chemical, understanding the procedures by heart, being trained on the equipment until its use is absolute second nature. In the end, the human mind, when it's properly trained and prepared, is the ultimate defense.